Last night, we saw a more in-depth look at the gameplay of Starfield, and I'm going to say that I'm actually feeling very positive about this game. It's coming out in about 2 months, and I'm genuinely excited for it. Now, it's too early to say, it really is. We're going to have to wait and see the actual game before passing final judgment, because honestly, Fallout 4 looked pretty good. Well, no, it looked very good when they announced it in 2015, although there were some more warning signs with what we saw at the E3 showcase for Fallout 4 than there seemed to be for Starfield. I mean, I do have one or two minor niggles, a couple of worries here and there about Starfield, but overall, what I saw was phenomenal. But this game is not going to solely rely on how it looks, on the gameplay, etc. It's going to lean heavily on things like the quests, the factions, how replayable the game is. I mean, not all games need to be replayable, but that is one of Bethesda Game Studios' great strengths, and I think a lot of us are expecting, nay, demanding, a game where we can play multiple times, take on different roles, and have a different experience, tell a different story. And again, from what I've seen so far, that is looking very possible. There seem to be a wide variety of things you can do, jobs you can take on. You could be an intrepid explorer trying to find the secrets of the universe, or you could be a smuggler or a pirate. So I've got a feeling multiple playthroughs are going to happen, but how well they work is going to depend on the game. I still say Fallout 4 did not quite hit the mark for me on replayability. Skyrim, I can come up with a new idea of how to play Skyrim, you know, every single year, and I have done so. Fallout 4, I don't know, it didn't hit the sweet spot. It was not as replayable. Now, Fallout games in general have that problem when compared to the Elder Scrolls games, but I'm hoping Starfield will just... Well, I've been looking for Skyrim in space. You guys who follow me know that. That's what I want. I want the Skyrim experience in space. However, from what we've seen so far, the game looks very solid, pretty polished. It looked very nice, actually. Probably one of the best, no, definitely the best looking Bethesda Game Studios game I've seen so far. Now, you would expect that. It is 8 years since they released Fallout 4. We were expecting a big improvement, and it seems they've delivered. The lighting was much better than previous games. The textures seem to be a lot higher quality. They couldn't be much lower quality than the previous games, but there you go. The shadows seem to really work this time. And overall, it just looked visually appealing inside the ships, wandering around cities in the various different biomes, and those places looked quite interesting. There was a lot of variety, planet to planet, city to city. So visually, this game looks like it's going to be, you know, a major step forward, and that is a good thing. It's not the most important thing to me, though. I will say the footage looked a little choppy. I watched it on Twitch, and apparently it was choppier there, but I've looked at the YouTube footage, which was in 4K, and there's still a fair number of stutters along the way. I believe all of the footage is on Xbox at 4K. So that's not too bad, actually, because it looks like they turned a lot of the settings up, or at least it doesn't look like the settings were, you know, set to potato, and it looked pretty good, if a little choppy. I'm assuming on PC it's going to work a lot better. We will get much higher performance, and I'm expecting the game to look at least as good as that and hit 60 frames a second without any problems. I know some people are going to say, well, you know, PC games being better than console, that's not a guarantee these days. True, but this is not going to be a console port. This is not a port from PlayStation to PC. Bethesda Game Studios, say what you like about them, they make PC games, and the PC version of the game is usually a lot stronger than the console one. It's not the game itself, it's the platform. The music, of course, was epic as always. They usually nail the music. Let's face it, they've been nailing the music for decades. This seems to be, up to their usual stuff. I got very excited listening to the music as the trailer was playing, so that's another thing to look forward to. Many, many years of humming a tune that we just can't get out of our head, and yet still loving it. And then, of course, there's the general gameplay. It looked pretty smooth, actually. We had some worries watching the trailers a few years ago or last year, but it definitely seems to have been improved, or we're getting a better look of the actual gameplay. The combat was quite fluid looking. I mean, I'm not talking Doom levels of fluid here, but honestly, a major step forward again for Bethesda Game Studios, and not what I was expecting in an open world RPG, to be honest. It did look quite fluid, it looked quite fun. I loved the zero-G combat element to it. I have a feeling I'm going to thoroughly enjoy running around jumping over things and, trying to headshot things with sniper rifles. It's going to be interesting what is possible in this game, but overall, I got a pretty good feeling from it. The guns themselves, the weaponry, really seemed to work. There was more impact now, more recoil, and the melee. We saw some strikes with swords and things, and honestly, yeah, it looks like it's taken a step forward since, definitely since Fallout 4 and Skyrim. You're going to be hearing that a lot, but hey, that's what we're comparing it to, so it's definitely jumped forward. They're using a new animation engine, so hopefully things will be much improved in a variety of situations. The character build system looks very interesting. It's difficult to say for sure based upon what little we saw, but it looks like they're taking things from all of their previous games and mixing them together. For example, they have quite a lot of skills by the looks of things, but you unlock them by leveling up your character, gaining experience, and then choosing the skill. This feels way more similar to how Fallout would do it, for example. But once you have the skill, you improve it by using that skill over and over until you gain ranks in it. That feels more like Skyrim. There are also traits and even backgrounds that you choose at the character's start, and this seems like it will affect partly what skills you start off with, but also the dialogue options you get throughout your game experience.
I can't believe I get to stand near you, breathing the same air. I've got to have every molecule.
Again, don't know how deep it's going to be, don't know how often it will occur. It might just be a little bit of flavor here and there. It might be, massive amounts of different dialogue. Too early to say, but I did find it interesting. Crafting still seems to be a big part of the game. They look like they're keeping the idea that you can modify and upgrade and customize your weapons and other gear, and in fact have extended this to your ship. And that looked amazing. You can actually change the ship completely. You can build new modules, you can change its shape, but it seems to change the inside of the ship as well, and you walk around it. So this looks like something I could spend way too many hours playing around with, making cool looking ships. I mean, I know people are going to be trying to make the Millennium Falcon. There are people who are going to be making ridiculously rude things, silly things, you name it. People are going to Minecraft the hell out of the crafting system to make the bizarrest ships you could possibly have, and honestly, I'm going to love seeing it. The settlement system is still there, probably much to the horror of some people and joy of others. it does look like it's been streamlined quite a lot. I'm wondering if they've taken some inspiration from things like sim settlements. You seem to be just planting down different modules. You'll have a living module, you know, a research module, and you place them very, very quickly, and you can probably get a base set up in very little time and then be on your way. You don't have to engage with it the same way you engaged with the Fallout 4 settlement system. You probably still can engage to the, you know, spending 100 hours on a single settlement kind of a thing if you want, but you sort of don't have to. You probably will engage with them to maybe set up some sort of mining settlement, because you probably need some resources, and then you'll just assign people to it and visit it and get the materials that you need if you want to. Again, too early to say, way too early to say, but it did look like they'd taken a lot of criticism on the previous system and just made it a lot easier and quicker for players to just, you know, get a basic thing going, a research station going, and then be on their way to get back to what's important in life, which is shooting stuff and looting the crap out of them. The spaceship flight and combat looked a lot more interesting than I thought it was going to be. I imagined it was just going to be a glorified fast traveling system with, you know, you'd have some control over it, but I didn't imagine it would be a big part of the game. I mean, space flight sims are a thing all of their own, but honestly, it looked reasonably engaging. It looked like it could even be fun. I am going to have to get my hands on it before I say for sure, but overall, I definitely got this sudden urge to do a space pirate playthrough when I was watching it, because you can attack ships, you can disable them, and then you could board them and even steal the ship, apparently. So you can get multiple ships. I mean, there's an awful lot of potential for just doing very different things on different playthroughs, and Space Pirate definitely seems to be one of them. But overall, I just got a very positive feeling about the gameplay for Starfield. There was very little to complain about. I mean, the performance was a bit of an issue, but it was Xbox footage at 4K. I'm expecting the PC version to run smoother, and I'm hoping for console users there will be an option to drop the resolution down or turn some of the details down if you want to get a solid 60 frames a second. There is also the issue of the procedural generation. I mean, one of the things I love about Bethesda Game Studios games are the handcrafted worlds and environments they create, but for this game, it's going to involve some procedural generation. We just don't know how much. They are saying this game has more handcrafted stuff than any of their previous games, but it's also a game that's probably way bigger than all of their other games as well. So we're going to have to wait and see on that one. And there was one other minor little thing that did enrage me, and it'll probably come as no surprise to anyone who watches my channel. It's related to the heads-up display. And yes, it's the problem the game had a year ago and still has. That annoying message that pops up more or less at the center of the screen telling you you've discovered something. It's absolute insanity to me that the developers think you're wandering around this planet or a city and you find some new amazing thing and you're looking at it in awe and wonder and desperately trying to look around this enormous bloody banner that's covering the object you've just discovered. Get it out of the way. That better be an option I can disable. Also, the experience thing, it keeps telling you how much experience you get each time you make a kill right at the center of the screen. I don't need to see that. Just that to me is information that is, you know, that could be information that's off at the side. It's not information I need close to the center. But overall, the heads-up display, the user interface looked pretty good. I quite liked it. They they placed the information you needed to know close enough to the center that you didn't have to take your eyes away from the important stuff, i.e. combat or looting, but not so close to the center that it got in the way. So overall, the user interface looked pretty good. So I've got my fingers crossed that some of those things that annoyed me can be switched off. Otherwise, of course, we're going to be waiting for mods. And on the subject of mods, we've got no idea. They did not speak about that at all, but I'm just going to assume it's business as normal. So I'll probably do another video devoted to that another time. So at the moment, I'm just assuming it's going to be just like all of their previous games, and the modding will basically begin day one. Well, earlier than day one, probably. Anyway, that is basically it. I'm sure I've forgotten some things, and I'll probably remember them just after posting the video or when someone reminds me, so there may be other videos coming out. However, overall, I got a lot of positivity from the gameplay I saw and very little negativity. So at the moment, I'm in the cautiously optimistic state. I wouldn't say I'm hyped, I'm definitely not hyped, but I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm really hoping for Skyrim in space. I'm really hoping this is a return to form for BGS, and of course, we're just going to have to wait and see, but we don't have to wait that long. The game is coming out on the 6th of September. It's less than 2 months away. We're going to get Starfield. And yes, I'm going to play the hell out of it. And then I'm going to mod the hell out of it. Or the other way around. Or probably both at the same time.
This is where we belong.